All right, started recording. Let's hope this all goes smooth. I have no idea.
Fingers crossed.
What is up? Welcome to episode 12 of the Mind Talks podcast. Today we are here with someone who you know very well from probably 7 or 8 other episodes. We have the whopping undefeated amateur MMA fighter at 1-0 with a TKO finish. Preston Gregory is back on the pod all the way from Washington.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Hopefully this holds up and the delay isn't too bad. But, I mean, this is kind of the best bet we got right now. So
Yeah, we've had difficulties getting this started for quite a few minutes here.
Yeah, we got to figure it out, though. So that's what counts.
But. So let's jump right into the fire. First fight, something that we've been talking about for a long time, and on this podcast, something you can go back and listen to. Not you meaning any listener, go back and listen to us talking about this moment for you, probably almost 2 years ago. What So what was that like for you? What worked out like you thought it would? What didn't? How was that experience overall for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I had done a kickboxing fight back in August, but still, that's not the same. That's more of like it almost felt like a warm up to my first MMA fight, and then here it was, and I felt way better than I ever had envisioned. You think about it and you get nervous. Like you even think about competing right now and you just feel that nervousness almost. Versus like when I was there, like we were driving up and it was a pretty far drive, probably 6-7 hours. We're driving up on the day of the fight and everyone's like, how do you feel? And I was like, I feel like I'm going to just kick some ass and keep it moving, get some good food in me. And sure enough, that's kind of how it went. So,
Trust in Taft.
Yeah, I mean, dude, nice guy, and I mean, he had it was my MMA debut, and this guy's 3-1, and the only guys he's losing to are guys that are pro now. So, it was a good first fight for me for sure. And I mean, the mindset going in was like, I either beat some kid who's 3-1 and had held the belt in this organization prior, or I lose to somebody who's got good experience and isn't a bad loss, right? So I didn't want to fight some can for my first fight. And then, I want to fight good quality guys, right? Like I don't want to fight somebody who's just about ready to go pro, but I also don't want to fight somebody who's only been training for a month and a half and doesn't really give a shit. So, right. I mean, I'm really happy with it. And, I mean, the team, you saw Tyler on the card, you saw Amira on the card. So, I mean, that gave us great energy going through. Tyler kind of set the tone and fought a fucking tough dude.
Yeah, that fight was nuts.
That fight was, I've never seen anyone throw Tyler like that. So, that guy was strong as fuck.
Not the most conditioned fella in the world.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I was in the corner, and after the first wrestling exchange, I was like, he is tired. Put it on him, And yeah. I mean, that's one thing that I will say about, I have a billion things to say about Team Juggernaut, obviously, but the biggest thing is we are one of the most conditioned teams I've ever seen. I mean, we've done a lot of cross training, and a lot of guys are like, you guys don't get tired. And I'm like, yeah, we train hard all the time. We're always ready to fight. So, I wasn't surprised that Tyler was able to keep it on him for that entire time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, a great fight, great way to set the tone for the rest of the night. I didn't know I was going to be starting the main card. I didn't know I was going to be opening the main card till I got there, which is you don't want to be the first guy.
You didn't know you were going to be fighting till you got there.
Yeah, that's true. There was a whole bunch of hurdles to get to this fight. But I think at the end of the day, one thing that really stuck with me is I've trusted the process this whole time and it's done nothing but lead me in the right direction. Why would I lose faith at the last moment? You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way, but I'm 100% born to do this. I have no doubt in my mind. And I don't think things would line up the way that they did if it wasn't meant to be. So,
for sure.
I mean, not to say that this is a fucking cakewalk. I mean, shit is tough. I talked to my opponent, and he was like, "Hey, when did you find out about this?" I was like, "I don't know, less than a month ago." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can make the weight in time." And he was like, "Oh yeah, I don't have a big weight cut. I kind of walk around close to this weight." I was like, Yeah, no, for sure. You know, I mean,
Same.
I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but I'm also not, you know, I'm
Yeah,
also a
you're a
good
dense
slider.
125er for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't
Yeah.
have the Brandon Moreno belly like he gets when he's not in camp, but
Yeah.
you got the
So,
quads, bro.
yeah, a lot of my weight is in my legs. So for me, it sucks because I'm kind of skinny fat and like I kind of screwed myself over because when I started like getting into everything, I was just like, all I'm gonna eat is fruit, and I basically
Mm.
made myself skinny fat before I knew anything about like dieting and proper
Right.
nutrition. But um,
Worked for
it
Nate Diaz.
exactly right. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I really couldn't have been happier with it. I tried to, level myself out after it was over. I was like, all right, now it's time to get back and do the work again and do the same thing. I'm not riding so high off of it that I forget what the goal is and what we're supposed to do, So
Right.
fights are definitely picking up during summertime, and so now it's just time to get back to the grind and not to sound like a cornball, but time to get back to the grind and just
No, yeah.
do it over again, So
This is our first podcast in a while where you aren't going to bring up the fact of asking me when I'm going to be back training. So that's
yeah, I was
that's
gonna
nice
say
to
that
hear.
I got the win, but in other big news is you're back training, and I mean, this right now you seem like in the zone.
Yeah,
So
I'm definitely. I would go way farther than like I would definitely 100% say I'm back way better than I was even before when I was out for a while. Like I'm more. I enjoy the process of everything more. Now it's like, or back then it was like I would run, do all that stuff, and I would get it all done and I would do it all, but I was doing it all strictly for the fact that I knew it was going to make me a better fighter. As to where now I enjoy doing all the outside work. I enjoy eating right. I enjoy hydrating, meditation, stretching, all that stuff. Like now it's my life, and it's like what I enjoy and what I find happiness in is doing all that stuff. And that leads me to be happier during training. I found a new team, a different team, and they've been nothing but great. And I think I definitely found my sort of circle of people and fighters and stuff in uh, Team Vanderlei Gym in Milwaukee. So yeah, I love it right now. I'm hoping to fight in July or August, and we could be having this conversation again after you fight again. You might even fight 2 or 3 more times by the time I get my
yeah,
first one.
yeah, it's looking really busy right now, but I mean, I'm pumped for you to fight. I can't wait because I think like in the big thing is like you know we would talk about it before so much, but it's never like real until you do it and you get in
Right.
there. And now it's realer than ever. Now I'm just like, okay, these guys are just guys. Like, I mean, skilled guys out there, but they are just guys. And like, if you crack them just right, they'll fall like everybody else. And if you choke them just right, they'll go to sleep like everybody else. And I don't just think, I know you're a very dangerous fighter. So, I can't wait for you to go and put it on display because
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, I know you feel the same way. Like when I fight, it's a part of your dream as well versus like when you fight, like we're almost a part of each other in that way.
Yeah,
Just
I
because
talk more shit to your opponents than you do.
I know exactly like we created this dream together, so now they're kind of just like intertwined. So I can't wait for you to fight. I'm really excited that you're at this new gym, and I knew it would be the right place to go. And they have a bunch of bad motherfuckers on the mats, obviously,
Yeah,
and I think that real tight knit group of guys is the way to go,
right.
especially for lower level amateurs, just because like you get more eyes on you as far as getting better. And I don't like I would do this no matter what, but having a bunch of friends at the gym makes it way better.
Oh, for sure. I can speak that from firsthand experience because I didn't my first go around. For me, going to the gym every day was just business and about getting it done. As to where now I look forward every single day to training. Like that is the absolute best part of the day is getting to go to the gym, train for a few hours, spar with the boys. It's like just hanging out with your friends, but just at a higher level than normal, just chilling with the boys. And I
Yeah,
think that's been a huge shift in just um, being committed. Like there is no doubt in the sense of like, man, I think I'm gonna burn myself out of training, when it's like it's hard to when all my boys are there. Like, hey, come fucking train, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's more than just like, hey, we're training. It's a lot of like, we're hanging out as well. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like, we'll go through like some hard rounds or like Ironmans or Shark Tanks or whatever, and we're still having fun, even though you're just like absolutely gassed and just, going through it. But it's because you have those people around you. And, going through that kind of stuff with those people makes the bond 10 times tighter versus like if you and one of your homies have never gone through anything hard together, you don't like, it doesn't create that tight of a bond. So, like there's a lot of sacrifice and struggle and everything that goes into this kind of lifestyle. And if your friends haven't seen what you go through and things like that, it's tough for them to understand versus the people that are in the gym understand and get it, and they're right there saying, all right, let's get back to it. So it's a different environment almost, and a different level of bond.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was gonna say is I think this sport takes a lot more sacrifice than any other sport that there is. And it's really hard to hold a relationship, meaning romantic or friendship or any other sort of bond, with someone that doesn't truly understand everything that goes into it, and everything that isn't just going to practice. It's not just about, hey, I can't hang out today because I got to go to practice. It's, hey, I can't go out to get food with you because I can't be eating cheeseburgers and fries, like stuff like
Dude,
that.
it's so hard. I mean, I had a girl come by a couple weeks ago, and like I'm like, hey, we can go grab you some food or we can figure something out, but like I can't eat, like a lot or really anything. Like I'm warming up cold chicken from the fridge that's like dried out and like veggies, and I'm like, all right, this is my dinner. And obviously no one really wants to eat that, so I feel bad, but on the flip side it's like this is something I have to do. So I feel bad, but I also don't. I'm like, that's just kind
Yeah,
of a part of me, and what it is. But um yeah, I don't know. It's definitely tough as far as the relationships go, whether that be friendships or romantic relationships.
for sure. Something I want to touch back on real quick just before it escapes my mind, because you were
Yeah.
sort of, you mentioned it a few minutes ago about when you were talking about me fighting and how like everyone is just a man. And that's a shift in my mind that I've finally like truly bridged and come to understood pretty much right now. I've been super obsessed with psychology behind warfare, like psychology of great war strategizers or strategists and high level athletes. Corey Sandhagen, his podcast with Joe Rogan really got me into looking into that. I know you are a Corey Sandhagen fan and know
Huge
what
fan.
his mindset is. Yeah. So getting into looking at that, and it's gotten me to really realize that even guys at the top of the food chain, Kamaru Usman, who's probably pound for pound, who is pound for pound the best in the world right now, like he is still just a person like me and you are, like anybody else is. It's just his skill set is higher. He doesn't have some magic power bestowed upon him. He doesn't have any like unnatural abilities. I mean, obviously he's a freak, but I mean, like, it's not
Yeah.
anything like magic. He's just someone who worked his ass off and got himself to that level. And that shift in my mind gives me like extreme confidence because I know that there's nothing to fear. Like everyone's just a man. Everyone, if you hit them when they're not looking right across their chin and snap their head, they're probably going down, like, and that to me has been a huge shift in my training, my preparation for fight. It's like upping the intensity of everything to a point where it's war, it's me or you, and understanding that um it's just two humans. That's like something huge. Something that stuck with me is I was talking to my coach, Coach Daniel Anderle, and he was saying how he was talking about wanting to fight someone or whatever. And he was like, yeah, this person might be a way skilled fighter than I am, but I'm a man with two hands and two legs. And it's like that sort of sticks in my mind is like, yeah, imagine now you have two guys with skill sets. It's still the same thing, just at an elevated level.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the big thing you said there too is, it's me or you, right? So that was the mindset I went there in the cage with too, was like, this guy really wants to hurt me. So, like, it's not a personal thing, but it is when you step in there and they decide they're going to try to hurt you, right? That's when it becomes personal. And I'll be damned if I let somebody just like, walk all over me. Like, it's me or you, so I'm trying to fucking hurt you, dude. Like,
Right.
I mean, at the end, like, after I get out of the cage and everything, I pray to God that they're fine, and so am I. But the time before that, like, I'm trying to hurt you, and before the fight, hope you're good. After the fight, hope you're good. But in the fight, I'm really trying to put it on you. And when I was on top of this kid, ground and pounding him, I'm aiming for his nose. I'm trying to put his nose on the side of his face, right? But like, in the training room and everything like that, it's not like that. But I think that mental warfare and putting yourself in that mindset of, I'm gonna keep going and I will not stop until the ref pulls me off, is big. Um, I was in that warfare mindset, and I mean, before you go in there, it's tough too, because like, everyone has those thoughts of like, am I this guy? Am I good enough? What if this happens? What if that happens? Like, but being able to put yourself in that mindset is huge. And I think that's a big thing that, really helped me out. And I know you can do it as well too. So.
Yeah, definitely. But I also, something you said too, where you were like, it's not in the training room. That is like 100% right. Like, you're never trying to hurt your training partners in any way, unless you're just a dick.
Exactly.
But I think that level of mindset, you have to practice it in a way. And that's something I've been sort of bringing to my training since listening to the Corey Sandhagen podcast with Joe Rogan, where he was saying how he would do like a meditation before sparring and then really get into the warfare mindset before sparring. And that doesn't mean you're hitting your opponents 100% trying to put them out, but it's just getting into that headspace of being in combat, being in the moment, and upping the intensity. Another thing that really changed with my mind was watching those Hamzat Chimaev vlogs that he has on his YouTube, where everything he does in his life, from eating food to training to cryotherapy, everything is done at the highest intensity. And I think that translates to when you see him fight. There's not many other guys going in there and lifting up people, walking them over to Dana, talking to him, and then throwing him down. And I think something I've been doing that's a lot different from the last time I really pushed hard in MMA is upping the intensity around me in my whole life and taking that into training at a new intensity, training at a new level. Training like today is going to be like my last day training, and I want to give it my absolute all instead of just going through the motions like I believe I was doing last time. I think now everything I do is done with purpose.
Yeah. I mean, you can spar and roll and everything with really good intensity and not be hitting hard. Like,
Right.
and there's days where some people will like come up to me when we're sparring and they're like, "Are you good? Like, you seem off." And I'm just like, "No, I'm just taking today really, really serious. Like, I want this sparring session to be really impactful, and I want to know and think about the things because like in your regular everyday life, like, you think about things that you could do better, but then when you spar, you tend to forget them. So I'm like, yeah, I want to carry these things in, and I want to get better, and I want to take this one really, really serious. So I mean, I take them all serious, but some of them, like, you put that intensity in, even if it's just like light sparring, you know what I mean? And I take pride in being a good training partner. Like, I'm not blasting these guys that are super, super fresh or anything like that. Or I'm not blasting anybody, first
Right.
anyway. Um,
Yeah.
but like, just being a good training partner, but still, like, training with purpose. Like, a lot of guys will train, but that they're just like, I've been running jujitsu warm-ups, and I'm like, guys, do these drills and do these things with purpose, because these are all things that you're gonna do in every single roll. You're gonna shrimp every single roll.
Mm-hmm.
So do it with purpose. Don't just do it, half-assed. Like, these upper belts are gonna have great shrimps, and you will too if you want to get good. You know what I mean? So just basic things like that.
Yeah. What has been something, so your performance pretty flawless in your first fight, I must say. What is things, MMA and all things in life, the more you do it, the more experience you get, obviously.
Mhm.
What is things you took away from your, not the first fight, but the first fight, the preparation leading up to it that you want to improve on for your next one?
Um, I definitely want to walk around a bit lighter, because
Yeah.
like the weight cut, I'm not gonna say it was like, life ending, but it wasn't easy.
Mhm.
I mean, then again, I took it on relatively short notice, so um, give me more time, it only gets easier. I mean, besides that, like as far as technical things, is just like um, that's a tough one, actually. I know in the fight, I wanted to stand longer. Um, I wanted to, feel it out, get my feet wet as far as, just like striking with the small gloves on. So,
Real quick, not to interrupt you, but do you want to just give a small summary? I mean, the fight was small to begin with,
Mhm.
but just a quick summary of your fight for people who haven't seen it. And I'll try and toss some highlights in here, but I'm not no editing wizard. So if
Yeah,
you want to
for
just give
sure.
them a small summary.
Yeah, so we came out. I could tell he was really intense. He wouldn't take his eyes off me. But in the face off, I see his eye cock, and I was like, I got you. So we go back, and the first exchange, he catches me with a good right hand, right on the eye. And I was like, okay, so he's here, he's here to bang. I could tell he was leaving his hands down a lot, but I didn't want to get into a firefight right away. So, I toss some kicks out there. I throw some low kicks, um, but he just kept coming forward. And so we had wrapped up, and I kind of went for a small, stupid trip, and he just ended up taking me down. I throw him into guard, and most people that train with me, when you get into my guard, you know what's coming. I get the triangle, I roll him over, and I just ground and pound him out from the figure four on top. Uh, he was talking in there. He was like, "Oh, what's up? What's up?" Trying to like Diaz me. And then when I was ground and pounding him, he told the ref he was done. So it was kind of like, it felt really good to be like, all right, man, like, um, but yeah, I mean, the fight wasn't super long. I definitely wanted to feel him out more on the feet. And, a lot of these amateur guys are just like straight bull rushing you, trying to get you out in the first 30 seconds because they
Right.
can't get their adrenaline under control. For me, I feel like I can fight a 15-minute fight at a good pace, and like be really technical. But these lower level amateur guys, all they know is, brawl. And I can brawl if that's what we want to do, but when I watch these high level fights, it makes me want to fight that kind of fight. And I mean tit for tat, like read for read, I feel like I can bang with a lot of good guys. We've had a lot of guys cross training with us, and they've given us really good rounds. Um, and so I'm super thankful for that, and I train with a lot of good people. So um, I feel like I'm getting better every day. But yeah, I would have liked to have stood longer with him and got some more of just striking in the smaller gloves because it's really different. But yeah.
For sure. Something you just said that sort of sparked something in my mind was you said how when you watch the higher level fights, that's sort of how you want to fight. And I think we have an advantage there. So Sean O'Malley in one of his last podcasts I was listening to said something where he was like, if you want to get good at something, besides application, watch the highest level people do it, whether it's MMA, video games, cooking, whatever it is, watch the highest level people do it. And I think that's something that me and you may this is speculation, may have an advantage over some people of is that we are not only fighters ourselves, but also hardcore MMA fans. Where, I mean, most of the time, every Saturday, we're watching every fight from top to bottom of the card. And I think just the influx of information that we're getting, watching, deciphering, breaking it down, whether it's conscious or not conscious, just breaking it down, definitely applies to my sparring, at least, or my training. Because I just recorded myself sparring for the first time in like months last week, and I was watching it back, and I was like, "This is a lot better than it almost even feels like I'm performing." Like when I'm in there, it doesn't feel as good as when I watch it back. I'm like, okay, I'm actually moving a lot better than when I watch other people train, and I think it's because we hold ourselves to a way higher standard than most people do, and I think that it leads to a little bit of doubt as well, which is something we were talking about the other day, because we might go into our first or second amateur fight thinking we're going to be fighting Corey Sandhagen, but in reality, that's not what it is. But just holding ourselves to that standard, where it's like shoot for the moon, land on the stars, or whatever they say, I think that sort of applies to us personally.
Yeah, right. Like I hold myself to an incredibly high standard, because if I think if I want to be at the highest level, why would I let myself be at like act as though I'm at a low level right now? I know where I am as far as like on the totem pole. Like I'm a low level amateur, like, and there is no doubt about that in my mind. But I want to act and perform and live the life of a high level pro, because like if that's what I want to be and that's what I want to do, why would I ever, treat myself as if I'm less? So, that's a big thing, is like if you want to be something great, be that thing always. You don't get to turn it off, especially with something like this that's not only dangerous but takes everything.
Right.
So, like in a sparring session, some guys are happy. Oh, I caught him with a good right hand. Cool. You got your ass kicked the rest of the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not happy with that. My goal when I go to spar and things like that isn't to, land one good shot and hurt this guy. My goal is to stay technical and not necessarily win these rounds, because it's sparring and I'm not trying to win, but do the best I can, control these rounds and get better. There's a lot of nights after sparring where I'm just like, I'm mad at myself for a couple small things, or I'll just have an off night. Like anyone who spars consistently knows, not every night is going to be, one of those ones where you feel good. A lot of them are going to be pretty mid. You're going to have one that's not so great, and then you're going to have one where you just feel like a fucking world beater, and those are the nights that we kind of live for. So, yeah, I'm really crucial with my sparring and things like that. Even when I drill, I'm like, I'm leaving my hand down here, just making sure I'm not being lazy.
Yeah,
Like
for sure. I think, it's also like you have to realize what you're comparing yourself to as well. So like my self-doubt will be like, man, in these two sparring sessions, like I personally feel like if we were in a real fight, this guy would have killed me. He would have killed me. And I'd be like, all right, well, let's look at who I'm sparring first. One of them is a 205er and the other one's a 185er. And I'm like, well, if it was a real fight, they would kill me. Like,
yeah,
so that's something too, is like, I don't know, this is something I mention in every pod, but just as a society, we are so based off comparing ourselves to what we consider the best at what it is. And it could be positive and negative. It could be positive in a sense where, okay, now we're holding ourselves to a higher standard in our training, but then also negative if you base everything you do off of what the next person does. And I don't think that you'll fall down into a deep hole super quickly, because especially in this sport, everybody develops things differently, does things differently. It's just it's a whole unknown. MMA in itself is an unknown, and that's why some people flourish in it and some people can't handle it, is because there's, besides actual like technical application, there's really nothing concrete when the cage door locks. Like there's nothing concrete. And that's what I love about the sport.
yeah, it can go either. I mean, you just saw Jai Herbert versus fucking Ilya
Yeah.
Taporia. What, like, no one saw that happening. No one saw the first round going like that, and no one definitely saw the second round going like that. Like, it's insane. But like on the comparison topic, it's like you can go either way. Like I can compare myself to people that don't give a shit and live their lives shitty, and be like, see, I'm doing better than that, so I can cheat here and here and not train hard or whatever. Or I can compare myself to high level guys and hold myself to a high standard. I know we had a guy who's been training for 10 plus years come in and spar with us, and I was getting frustrated because I was like, man, he's having his way with me. He's having his round with me. And then I asked him, I was like, how long have you been training? He's like, oh, like 10 plus years. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But it's still like, it doesn't go away. Like there's still a part of me that's like, fuck, like I should have done better. I should have done this. But that just makes me more happy that, people like that are going to come in and help train with us so I can get better quicker. I know there's people out there, not at my gym, but other gyms and stuff like that, that I know that just spar with like turds. And then they're like, I'm the king of the world. And it's like, nah, you're just beating up people who aren't very good.
14-year-olds. Yeah.
Exactly. Which, dude, funny enough, so we have a 14-year-old on our team. And I am so serious when I say, I'm not even just saying this because he's on my team. He is the most badass 14-year-old I've ever met. He went to state his freshman year, first year wrestling too.
Wow.
We can't get him a fight because no one wants to fight him because you either beat up a 14-year-old or you lose to a 14-year-old. And these motherfuckers are going to be losing to a 14-year-old. Because I've seen this kid put it on grown-ass men who've been training for a long time and not even break a sweat. So, I'm super excited for Team Juggernaut. You know what I mean?
I mean, if he's at 145 or something.
he's a big boy, but he's got a big future ahead of him, especially first year wrestling, went to state. It's like, dude, this kid is just good at everything, and he fucking grinds his ass off. So
yeah, surrounding yourself with the good people in a sport, and not only a sport but a lifestyle that requires so much dedication, determination, so many small factors throughout the day that attribute to a larger success, is like truly key. Because I tried doing it by myself. Like basically you were the only other person around me, and then once you went to Washington and left me here alone by myself, it was like just me, and I didn't really have that family at my previous gym, and it was more, like I said earlier, just business. Where now I'm texting people daily. I'm surrounded by a group of people that understand what it is and do the things outside, and it leads to so much larger success. So, and also seeing your teammates, your friends succeed will in turn, hopefully, like I feel like by nature, it's almost law, attribute to your success. Like it's when they say if you hang out with 5 millionaires, you'll become the sixth or whatever. Like,
yeah, exactly. If you hang around with winners, odds are you're gonna win. If you hang around with losers, odds are you're gonna lose. And I mean that I've talked about it 1,000 times. When I left Wisconsin, I was like, I'm just not in the right place. I just need to, get something new. I mean, it worked out.
it did.
I'm out here getting fights and everything, so it's really looking up. But it's weird to be like at that place where it's like we were talking about it for so long. Man, I just want to get fights. I just want to fight. I just want to do this. I just want to do that. And now it's like we're here. And I mean, it's like a small stepping stone,
But we started the race,
Yeah.
Instead of walking to the starting line, like we actually, me a little bit. I mean, you have to be 18 to fight over here, and I turned 18 in 2.5 months now. So I turned 18 in July, so we're looking for a fight in July or for August. But like I'm basically there now, and it almost put me into a state of like, holy shit. And we were talking about it, and I was like sort of telling you like all my thoughts about it, because it was like driving me nuts, where I'm like, I've wanted this for years and it's finally here, and I'm like, what do I even do with it, And I think a lot of people go through that with everything, not just MMA. But it is crazy now that, like I said, you can scroll down, click on my name, and scroll up and get a podcast from like a year and a half ago of us like prepubescent being like talking about this stuff. And it's so crazy that we're now sitting in the same seats, and we've grown tenfold as martial artists, as people, as fighters, as everything. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where it's like, I want this thing so bad, and then you get it, and you're like, what do I do with this now? So, constantly reevaluating, figuring out what my goals are, and why I do this and everything. And it was funny. I was watching this video of these tattoo artists, because I'm just obsessed with getting tattoos now. But I was watching this video of these tattoo artists, like talk about if they ever thought about quitting tattooing, and they were just like complaining about all these different things, and I was like, it just really made me think about how sometimes, as fighters, we're like, after a hard day or you really beat up, you're like, man, why the fuck do I do this? I could be a normal guy. But then it's like, no matter what you do, you're going to have those thoughts about this or that with that certain career or that certain path, so you got to fucking pick your struggles. If if my biggest struggles with this or that I'm sore or that I'm beat up sometimes, like I feel like it could be way worse.
Right.
So not to say that this is easy. It's definitely one of the hardest things to do. But I don't like we talked about it. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have this. If I didn't have MMA as a path, whether it be fighting or coaching or anything like that, I don't know what I would do. I would be genuinely lost because this is the only thing I've done that hasn't gone anywhere. I hyperfixate on things and then I'm just like, all right, done with it. Versus this has been stable for so fucking long.
That has definitely been a problem I've had in the past of I'm another hyper fixator where once I start something, I have to become that thing and dedicate everything to it. And speaking completely in hindsight, which is always perfect, I am pretty glad actually that I sort of stepped away from training for a few months and well really got pulled out of it for at the start, and then it was a choice to not go back in for I was probably out for probably like six whole months, I would say. And now being back in and being better than ever, it's like it gives me a new appreciation for for everything in general, for the grind, for eating right, not just the sport of MMA and training, but just a whole appreciation for having a better life because I fell into this depression and anxiety when I wasn't training because I felt like I was chasing my past self because I knew I was happiest when I was training full time, doing everything outside of training, eating right, meditation, all that stuff. When I was doing all that, I was at my happiest and I wasn't doing any of that and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I was in this depression loop of just trying to chase my former self. And it's like finally I was like, no, why would I chase my former self when I can create a new and better self? And then that's when I really jumped right back into training. And now not only do I even feel better than I did before, but I just am better. I'm a better fighter, better person, better everything.
Yeah, I think like that's a huge, huge piece of the puzzle. As far as like being happy, honestly, is like I could sit here and be like, damn, I miss these because I have a whole bunch of fucking pictures of my body as far as like progression pics. And I look back and I was like walking around at like 130 pounds, just
Dude,
fucking
got like 30 dick pics. Just
yeah. Yeah, but I was walking around like 130 pounds just peeled. And it's like, I'm like, fuck, man, I wish I could look like that. But like, I'm not the same person. My body's physically not capable. Like, I have more muscle tone now. Like different things. Like, your body is constantly evolving. And I think that goes down to even you as a person. Like, I could look back and be like, oh, I did this and this. Like, why can't I do that anymore? And the reality is like you change, things change, your situation changes. You're never going to be the same person yesterday that you were today, even if that's not by your choice, right? So, like, because I work at GNC and I have people that come in all the time. Oh, I weighed this in high school and I want to do this again. And I'm like, honestly, it's almost impossible to be the same person that you were because your body's so much different. And
yeah,
I think that goes down to a mental aspect too. Like I'm a different fucking guy. So even to 2
it's
years ago, it's just totally different.
yeah. Your mind evolving changes everything around you. I was like I said, I've been literally obsessing over psychology behind combat, behind warfare, behind all these things. And I listened, I heard this thing today. I was watching this like Mike Tyson video of him talking about it. And in it, it said how your body is just a carrier for your mind. Like your body is nothing except what holds your mind. And it's so true in a sense to where like your consciousness, your brain, you're you're gathering information and evolving, and it's like your body has to change to accommodate that. And I don't think people understand anything that goes into that, and it's something I didn't understand either until recently.
Yeah, no doubt. He has a lot of good stuff. But I mean, that's totally true. Like sometimes I just sit there, I'm like, damn, bro, this is my body. This is me. But like, I also don't think my body is me. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it is just kind of like a vessel. It is just kind of a carrier. And we're not really like taught to think like that. But you just kind of look at it and you're like, I mean, not to sound like fucking Joe Rogan, but it is just like a sack of meat, and we're just kind of like around. But you know, it's a trip to think like that. But you know, like this is like my mindset changed, therefore my body changed, kind of thing. So
people don't even understand the concept of movement. Like movement is something you can master. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a trip that like people don't know how to move their bodies, and like I get it, we're all different in the terms of like flexibility, dexterity, strength, things like that. But like, dude, if you can't do a fucking cartwheel, like get off the couch. You know what I mean? Like it's just basic things, and it comes like the people that are able to get good at jujitsu or any form of martial art are the people that know how to move their bodies, because you say, hey, change this, and their mind muscle connection is able to do it. Granted, it takes time and it's not super easy. And like, I'm not even close to the most gifted as far as like physically. But I've come to really appreciate my body and be like, I actually am, you know, like I am genetically gifted in the facts of like the things that I do have. Am I just year round shredded, peeled like some of these guys and eat nothing but fucking Mickey D's? No. But if I put in the work and I do the right things, like, you know, like there is nothing stopping me. So in the terms of that, like I am gifted, and I am so thankful for stuff like that. So
yeah, I've had sort of a reverse than I think most people do, where it's like I have always been sort of gifted physically and athletically. Like I think I have pretty stellar genetics, and I've just been athletic since a kid. But for me, it was like developing, like I said, the mind part of it. I think I always it took years to develop a hardworking mindset, a mindset of wanting to be something bigger than just the standard, you know. And for me, that's what I've put all my time and effort into. And I think it could be the other way around too. I think people could naturally just be more intellectual, but then they don't have the physical. Like everybody's as different on the inside as they are on the outside, and that's something I've just been studying too and really getting into, is like every single person is different with everything.
yeah, it is it is a pretty big trip that way too. Like your body's gonna feel different off of chicken than my body will, things like that. But I think, you know, what really changed it for me was, as far as my mental goes, is what I was eating will change the way that you think and change the way that you feel mentally too. Like if I eat good quality food and good portions and stuff like that, like my days will feel way better. I'll feel more happier versus if I eat a bunch of garbage, I'm gonna feel shitty and I'm gonna be all piss poor attitude. So, you know, people wonder why they're feeling like shit, not only physically but mentally. And it's like, well, what are you putting in your system?
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like I'm not perfect. I do splurge on stuff here and there, but I feel like I earn that, you know, like we talked about this a little bit ago. You know, when I cheat, it's not like anything crazy, but it is like I feel like I'm like, all right, I push hard 5-6 days a week, and I put 100% into every session. I do feel like I deserve this here or there. You know, and I mean that can be a slippery slope, no doubt, but yeah.
That takes discipline in itself. Like cheating takes discipline within itself of not falling down that slippery slope of like having discipline of being okay, I could have this cheat meal, but then after that it's back to you know, whatever. And you know, there's people that can't do that. Like I've been grinding Patty Pimblett vlogs and stuff, and he's someone who gets huge in the you know, like off camp. And he said like it's legitimately a problem for him. Like it's not something like he'll laugh about it and joke about it, but it's like he said like truly like it really is a problem that he has to fix, because outside of fight camp he's walking around at like 195, 196. And for fighting at 55, I mean, you think you have a bad weight cut. I can't even imagine. He was saying one time he did 18 pounds in a bath, like doing bath cutting and stuff. And
Yeah,
it's
like I know when he fought Arosa, like he cut an insane amount the night before.
yeah,
Which I mean, like sometimes you got to do what you got to do on a short notice fight or whatnot. But like taking care of your body outside of camp is important, especially for guys that are willing to take short notice fights,
And
which
that's not even
could,
for just fighting in general too.
yeah,
It's
yeah, it's everything, like I said, your mental is definitely affected upon what you eat, like for a long time growing up, I was a very piss poor attitude. I didn't think I was going to be anything. I had like low goals because I was like, oh, if I set my goals low, I'll never be disappointed, which I fucking hate that mindset that people have. Because for me, it's like I'm gonna set my goals high and hold myself to a high standard. But if things don't work out, I'm gonna know that I put everything into it. I'm gonna know that I tried my best. Versus, I could be like, well, I didn't try. Like the whole idea of like I didn't try, so it never worked out is fucking so
like
dumb.
self-sabotaging.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, what? And for me, I've really come to the realization like no one can tell you how to live your life like right or wrong. Like at the end of the day, we're all gonna die, and none of this shit is gonna matter. Like what you're driving doesn't matter. What you live in doesn't matter. All this shit that we think matters doesn't matter. All that matters to me is like how I feel, and I feel the best when I'm training hard and doing what I feel like I was put on earth to do. So, that's how I live. But, you got a lot of old heads that are like, you got to do this and retire by this age and do
Yeah.
that. Like if you're not in a big house with a good career and married with kids by 30, you're a fuck up. And it's like, that's such a whack way to live.
I think people get stuck in the mindset of we all die one day, and they turn that into, well, why not just eat whatever I want to eat? And
Yeah.
I think you have to look at it the exact opposite way. It's like everyone's gonna die one day, so why not make it the best you can? Like, why not try and succeed and fail? Fail succeeding, then die not trying. Quote
Yeah.
that real quick and put quotations and dash my name at the bottom, but like for real. And
Exactly.
it's hard sometimes. Sometimes I fall into the same trap of like, we're all gonna die. Like, so yeah, maybe if I binge for a week, it doesn't matter. We're gonna die anyways. But it's like reverse it and be like, we only have one life. Like, obviously we don't know what happens when you die, but like with the knowledge we have right now and our consciousness, our perception, like we only have one life to live. So why not like just make the absolute most out of it and become the best you can be? Be the best you. In my opinion, something I've said on this podcast a million times is this podcast is just like my Bible at this point. It's like,
Yeah.
um, shit, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, I was just like, I think the key to happiness and the key to just success and happiness, joy, is being the best you can be. At least for me personally, that's how I look at it. That's what makes me happy, and I think my purpose on this planet is improving myself, because by improving myself and getting a little bit better every single day, I'm also helping all those around me. And
Yeah.
that's just how I look at it from my perspective.
Yeah, one thing I've been big on lately that you put me on to, which I don't know, you probably talked about on this podcast before, but if you did, I don't remember it. Was you were like, I'm not gonna make decisions on how I think I'm gonna feel in the future or how I thought I felt in the past. I'm gonna make decisions and live my life how I feel right now. And that has made me feel super free as far as like everything really is like, I mean, obviously, like if I'm in fight camp, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm not gonna eat this because in the future I have to make weight,
Right.
shit like that. But I mean, like like people put all this fucking pressure on you to make these decisions and these choices, and it's like I'm gonna do what I feel like doing in the moment. I'm tired of living in the past based on how things went before, how I felt before, and I'm tired of thinking, oh, well, I might do this or I might think this in the future. I'm gonna just do what I want to do right now, and that's something you put me on too. That just lately I've been feeling like is top notch.
Yeah, it's something I came to a conclusion to. And like you said, once I did, it's the most freeing feeling in the world, because, like, warning, feeling that way, you will lose people in your life
Oh yeah,
because of that. And that's something that you have to sacrifice and accept, because it will lead to a greater good. It will lead to a greater freedom, because you don't even want those people around in the first place. But where I started developing that philosophy, that was something that I obviously didn't invent that, but it's nothing I looked into. It was just sort of something I came to naturally, was with girls, where girls will I'd be texting a chick or whatever, and she would be like, well, it seemed like you liked me yesterday, and today it seems like you want nothing to do to me, or nothing to do with me. And it's like, yeah, like yesterday I liked you, and today I want nothing to do with you. And it's just like
Yeah.
being honest with yourself, and then expressing that. To me, honesty is like how I go about everything, because there's just I, I want you to know how I feel, because I'm not going to change. It's Everybody is constantly evolving, and you're going to feel differently every day. So there's no reason for me to live my life in a state of how I think I'll feel, or in a state of which I once felt. And yeah, that to me, once I came to that, like I said, people will block me talking to me. People will not talk to me ever again. And, people either love me or hate me. And I think that it's because of that. I think that's the reason a lot of people hate me. Like, seriously, I will, if anyone's going to tell you, let it be me, there are more people that hate me than love me. And I think it's just because of genuine honesty that I bring to people, and telling them my true intention of what a bond would be, what a relationship would be. And you got to work it around. I've been reading like the 38 laws of power and stuff, and hiding your intentions, like a big strategy of warfare. But there's a time and a place for that, and there's also a time and a place to just be direct and tell them exactly how you're feeling. And that's what I really have been doing, and it's just an incredibly freeing experience that has led to a lot less, if not no regret at all, because I'm always acting based off how I'm feeling, and it's hard to regret something when that's the decision that you make.
Yeah, it's tough with chicks for sure, because like the girls want an answer, or like they just look so far in the future, and I'm like, girls are always like like one day this and that, and I'm just like, dude, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
how I'm gonna feel tomorrow. This is how I feel today, but tomorrow I could wake up and not want anything to do with you.
right.
And
And
I'm
that's just the
fucking
truth.
yeah, and I'm just fucking tired of like this whole idea of like, you need to text me all the time and all this. And it's like, let me fucking be me, I don't think a romantic relationship should be two people becoming one. I think it's two people, being separate, like people, but also like enhancing each other's lives.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't think I want to be around that.
Shit, you're frozen.
Shit froze too. And then it said,
And we're back. Okay, I just
all right,
paused.
word. All right.
So,
Wi-Fi machine.
you sort of paused out when you were saying how, like, relationships should be enhancing each other, and not
Yeah.
just.
Yeah. So, I think, when you get into a romantic relationship with somebody, it shouldn't be two people become one. It should be two people that are independent, but, like your relationships make each other better. And I mean, obviously, like we've talked about our relationships with females in private a bunch, and like, they can get kind of complicated and things like that, especially when it comes to ideas of like open relationships and all that kind of stuff. And
And
like,
the chicks I talk to, dude.
yeah, so and the reality is like I don't have the typical relationship that most people do, and like I don't want to. Like I don't want to talk to you every day. I don't want to be around each other every day. So, I want to feel independent and not feel trapped. So that can be hard, but I tell them now too, the same way that you told me, like I'm going to do what I want to do that day. And that doesn't mean I'm going to go like fuck 500 chicks in a day and cheat on somebody, but
Right.
I'm going to do what I want to do, because like life is too short to be like, I think I'm going to feel like this. So,
Yeah, I was watching this video. I was gonna send it to you actually, but then we ended up hopping on the pod, and I think it's titled "Psychologist Explains the Art of War." It's like this 15-minute video, and I think that was the one I was watching. If not, it was another one just about the psychology behind war. And they were saying one thing that all great leaders do is they make as little commitment as possible. And that's because as soon as you make a commitment to something, you're immediately a box is around you and you can't branch out and reach things that you would be able to if you had no commitment to a certain thing and if we weren't tied down. And I think that is something that really needs to be evaluated within romantic relationships, because I'm not even talking in a sense so much of open relationships, which we can get into after, but I mean just more like, okay, if I get a girl, right now I work Monday through Sunday, 2 jobs every day, and I train Monday through Friday. If I get a girlfriend, well, now I have to dedicate at least a day to hang out with her. I have to dedicate money to taking her out, to getting gas to go in to see her, to whatever it is. And immediately this box is now shrunk to this box. And I just think, not even just in romantic relationships, but just in life in general, the more commitments you make, it's literally like the metaphor of the more chains are on your body as you're trying to move, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, chicks and kids are the MMA fighter killer, dude. Like
You're
most,
speaking to him.
yeah, most like fighters that I've seen like come and go, it's been because of a chick or a kid. Like rarely ever do I see these guys that are like, I just don't like it anymore. So, I mean, good on them, like if that's what you prioritize, great. But sometimes I feel like not even to get like super fucking, I don't even know the word, but sometimes I feel like I feel so unattached and things like that, not even by my choice, but just like by the universe being like, no, dude, don't get attached. Like you got to stay on this goal. So sometimes it is like a blessing in disguise, like that I'm not like chick crazy and getting attached. Like I've never missed a day because of a chick. And, like I don't really plan on it ever. So yeah, it is what it is, but it's like commitments and relationships are definitely tough. So
Yeah. I'm the opposite in a sense where you said it sort of comes naturally to you. For me, that's something I've always had to consciously work on. Like for the last 3 years, I've been reading hundreds of books, studying, listening to hundreds of podcasts about stoicism, about detaching yourself. And I finally feel like right now, after 3 years, I'm sort of metaphorically getting to like a purple belt level in it. And I finally feel like comfortable. And I think I'm really starting to figure this stuff out, not in a sense of how it all works, but just in a sense on how it applies to me. And it's the most freeing thing in the world. It's something I try and talk about with every person that I have in my life, because once you really realize the things you're attached to and you can consciously break that and snap out of that, it's an entire freedom that you can't even fathom because you didn't even know it existed until you feel that. And once I felt that, my entire life has changed because of it.
yeah, I don't know, like, cause for a long time I was like, why do I? Cause I get like really into chicks, like off the bat. I'll just be like
Oh,
infatuated
same,
with her,
same.
and then I'm like, man, she's like this got to be the one. So I've like tried not to set expectations anymore, which has been a big one. But like I would get really into these girls, and then as soon as like it gets serious or something, like not even like serious, but like after a while, I just like it like fizzles out, and I just when you said like about a certain chick that you just felt unattached, I was like, holy shit, that's how I've been feeling this whole time. I just couldn't put a word on it. Like, I just don't care. Like, if you're there, cool. If you're not, I don't really give a shit. Like, I don't care one way or the other. I'm very indifferent about it. So I was just like, damn, I just feel unattached. So like, if it feels like I have to like put in work to hang out with you, yeah, I'm not gonna fucking do it. Like it shouldn't feel
Right.
like that. So I should like, and I've only ever been attached to like one or two chicks like ever. And those are the chicks that I like was in love with. So I don't know what it is or what the recipe or the formula is, but only like one or two chicks had it. So, it's definitely tough, but it's,
Yeah.
maybe it's one of those things where it's like you want what you can't have. Um,
Right.
but for me, no chick has ever topped the hunger as far as MMA goes. So
Right. Or it's something that um Like, you have to have conversations about it with the people around you. And I've had countless conversations about it with girls of them, in the car crying in front of me because of the things I'm saying to them. And many times, I'm a specialty. Girls love me until they hate me.
Yeah.
And which you said, and I've been quoting it ever since because it's true. Chicks love me until they hate me, because I will sit you down and like I'll tell you, like, look, like, I'm not attached to you in the slightest, in any sense. You could block me on everything right now and never see me again, and that's not going to bother me. I'm okay with that. If that's what you want, I'm fine. Like, and it's really hard for people to understand. And I've also been on the other side of that, and it is hard. Like, it is definitely hard to hear, but, and you'll lose people along the way. But like I said, and we've mentioned before, it's just a super freeing process, and ridding of all the stressors, the things that are holding you down, the things that are just making you feel like this, by detaching yourself and telling those people and letting them know, so they know that they don't have to feel like that either. Because by you letting them know, I think that sort of breaks a bit of their attachment as well. And I think it becomes more of a serene relationship instead of like, oh fuck, like I gotta do this so he doesn't get mad, or I gotta be this way so that way she doesn't do this. I gotta miss training today so she doesn't get mad, whatever. Like letting them
Yeah.
know, like, look, like my mind lays in a different, at somewhere else at certain times. You are not my life, and this isn't just to girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. This is to friendships, like everything. Being tied down and having that attachment, it shackles you down, and you don't even understand it. You can't realize it until you start looking into books, podcasts, and you can't see it from the other side until you experience it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I've been lucky, like the past couple times when I've told chicks like I'm just not attached to you, they've been cool with it and they understood like it's not like a malicious thing that I'm saying. It's not to try to hurt them. It's just me being honest. Or I'm just like, yeah, I'm not attached to you. So um, if that means that you got to distance yourself, or if that means that you don't want to, have sex or things like that, that's totally fine. I get that, but I'm not gonna be the guy that's like, I've never been the guy that's gonna lie to try to get what I want. Like I keep it 100% honest,
That's why
and
people hate
whatever
me.
happens, yeah, exactly. Whatever happens, happens. Like like when people say stupid shit in front of me, I'm just like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Like fucking one time I was at work and this guy came in and somebody like scared him, like jumping out of the corner. And he was like, man, you're lucky I got my hands in my pockets because I would have fucking knocked you out. And I told him, I was like, bro, you're not that guy. And he's like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? I'm like, you're just not that guy. Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay to be, not that guy. Like, I'm honestly, I don't fucking just like fight people in the streets. I'm not that guy either. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's, being 100% true to who you are is super important. And if, when that comes down to just being honest with people, like that's a big thing too. Like we hit each other up all the time. Just like, yo, what do you think about this? And they'll be
Yeah.
like, good or bad. We keep it 100, but it's
It all
hard for
starts
chicks
with
to hear that too because they don't get rejected a lot.
Yeah, it all starts with being honest with yourself too. Like, you could lie to every single person in the world, but at least be honest to yourself. And that's sort of how you got to go into decisions. Like, really take the time to look into yourself and look within yourself and think, is this what I really want? Is this actually how I feel, or is this how I want to feel? Am I making this decision because I think it'll make me feel a certain way? Or am I making the decision because I don't care how I feel? I want to do this thing. And it's like, people, I think, make a lot of impulsive decisions based off of how they think something will make them feel. And that goes into attachment too. Um, Everything boils down to attachment. Let's look at it from a materialistic standpoint, right? Maybe you get some money, right? You're in the UFC, you just got your first knockout bonus, you got 50K check. You're like, sweet, let's go buy something. I'm gonna buy a fancy car right now. I'm gonna put a huge down payment on a Ferrari right now. A
Yeah.
lot of the times that decision is made based off, because when you buy that Ferrari, you think internally you're going to feel a lot better than you do right now. And maybe you will for the first month of having the car because you're driving a Ferrari, and it is sick. Like that's a sick thing to do, and something not many people can say they do. But internally, it doesn't lead you to any more happiness than you did before, and that comes from attachment of attaching your happiness into things that you can't even really control. Like people will say, like, okay, I'll be happy once I get this, once I do this. I'll be happy once I get to the UFC. I'll be happy once I get that bonus. And it's like that bonus comes, that contract comes, whatever. Now what? Are you just going to be happy now and be happy the rest of your life? No, it's not. And that comes from attachment too.
Yeah, like I think joy and happiness are totally separate. Like those kind of things give you joy, but happiness is kind of like a mindset. It's not just like a feeling. Like, all right, I'm gonna be happy today. You know what I mean? So, and it's not always gonna work. Like there's just days where it just doesn't happen. So but like when it comes down to like, I've seen so many people that I know personally, like especially in my age range, that are just like buying these fucking cars and just like. They're like, yeah, I'll spend all my money on this bitch. And it's like, it's cool for like a little bit. And then you're just like, damn, now I'm just paying all this money for this thing that I don't really care about that much.
Yeah.
Versus like, I mean, like for me, I like to invest my money and stuff like that. And then just drive a shitbox car, especially nowadays where it's like fucking gas is through the roof. So if you're paying a fat payment on a car on top of the gas, like, dude, your bank account's getting crushed.
That Tesla's a good idea though. That might be my first bonus check, bro, to be contradictory with the gas prices now, bro.
Yeah, dude, no
Especially
doubt.
me, I'm driving 45 minutes to and from training every day. Oh my God.
I'm lucky. My job is like 10 minutes away, and the gym's only 5 minutes away from that. So,
Yeah, I'm getting 2 full tanks a week right now.
dude, I would die. Like, especially out here in Washington, gas prices are always insane. So, I'm lucky that way, but it's tough regardless. Especially because like as a fighter, you're not making good money for a long, long time. So,
yeah,
if you're doing this for the money, you're in it for the wrong reason.
and that comes again from attachment, attaching yourself to the money in the sport or the money in the job. It's like, I don't know, it's the most cliche thing in the world, but finding true happiness within the process of bettering yourself or bettering your skill set in fill in the blank, like that's where the true happiness lies, not at the finish line.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, I mean, I could be like, oh, I got that first round win. Like, now I'm finally happy. But the reality is, like, it's always an ongoing thing. Like,
yeah,
it's not just like I got this thing, now I'm just perfectly happy. Like that was cool. I had a lot of joy from it, but now it's just on to the next one. And that's what makes me happy, is just like continuing to go forward and work on it. So yeah.
sweet. What are your fight plans coming up here? I know we've been talking about it a little bit separately. I don't know if you want to say anything, but
no
let's
worries.
put it
Yeah.
out there.
So yeah, not like an official announcement, but sounds like April 16th is a good chance. I don't know for sure yet. April 30th, if not, also a good chance. May, a good chance. Like there's a lot of offers out there right now. So it's just a matter of, I'm not like picking fights by any means. Because I just fought that dude who had 4 fights and it was my debut. But like making wise choices, especially at like amateur level. There's a lot of people sandbagging people's records where they're actually like fucking 50 fights boxing and 50 fights kickboxing, but they're a 2-0 pro or a 2-0 MMA fighter. So, making sure we're not fighting guys that are just sandbagging, but also fighting guys that are of quality. So, we'll figure it out. I'm sure I'll fight here a couple more times this year, but yeah,
let's go. We gotta get on the same card once.
I know, dude. If I don't have a fight booked when you fight, or if it's at least a little ways out, I'll try to make it out there as long as.
Yeah, no, I gotta fly out for yours as well. Yeah, seriously, shit's nuts right now.
Yeah, facts. So.
And then last thing before we wrap her up, let's get our predictions for the Volkanovski zombie card. We'll just go. Let me look up the main card real quick, and then we'll
go. Before we shout that out, another shout out is.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Our boy Howard dropped a new song.
Oh yes.
SoundCloud is 2 a.m. nights. How we do. He dropped a new song.
It'll
Absolutely.
be in the description.
Hell yeah. So, we've been waiting for that song for a minute. Only bigger things to come.
Hell yeah.
People.
He's got more potential, just as much potential, if not more, with fucking music than we do with fighting. So
yeah,
go stream his stuff.
I say it all the time. These guys that are like, "Oh, check out my SoundCloud, check out this," but Howard's actually good at music. It's not just a SoundCloud rapper. I've seen him do crazy stuff with music that no one will understand until he really puts out his full potential. So
it transfers into like the fighting talk we just said of like some people just fight for the money or fight to like look cool, and it's like the same thing with music. But it's like you could really tell when somebody actually cares about their craft and cares about what they're doing, and Howard's definitely one of those guys. So where he loves every aspect of it.
Yeah, he loves the music more than he would ever love being famous. I mean, we all want money and fame, but at the end of the day, I know if he had to pick one or the other, he would just pick the love of the music, and I've seen it firsthand. So, dude's talented. He's on the come up with us. So,
definitely. All right, fight picks super quick. Gastelum versus Imavov.
I'll go Gastelum, but honestly, I don't know a whole lot about Imavov.
Yeah, so. I'm on the same path here, so we'll go Kelvin by decision.
Word, I got that one.
Tisha and Dern.
Who was it?
Tisha Torres versus Mackenzie Dern.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna go Dern. I mean, Tisha Torres, absolute beast. Her striking is really good, and she's really powerful. Not necessarily super powerful, but they call her the tiny tornado for a reason.
Right.
But I'd go Dern just because I think a lot of people make that mistake where she drops to her guard off of a
and they get in there,
and then they just jump in.
Right.
I mean, if Tisha does it right, she can definitely outstrike her. But Marina Rodriguez laid out a good blueprint to how to beat Dern. Yeah. But I'm still going to go Dern on this one. I think she gets it done.
Probably right. Something about Dern is that I don't think her jiu-jitsu is obviously the best. She's probably the best female jiu-jitsu practitioner in the UFC.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's the best at actually bringing the fight to the ground.
No. So it's very opportunistic.
So I think for Tisha, strike and keep it standing and don't enter in. And for Dern, I think she just has to work more wrestling and work on actually getting the fight to the ground in terms of just like Ryan Hall style, trying to pull her into his guard or into her guard at some
If Tisha plays with the rhythm a lot, if she goes, like pop, 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 and then bang, 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 you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So plays with that rhythm a lot to where Dern can't catch on to, okay, here's when I shoot, here's when I do this. I think she can do it, and especially because Tisha throws a lot in combinations versus just, one here, one there. I think that's a good way to get it done. Come in, change the rhythm, and then go back to distance. But
I'll volume her.
Yeah, it's winnable either way. But I'll go Dern by sub just because.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then Burns versus Hamzat. I'll go first because I'm big on Hamzat, dude.
Yeah,
I'm saying Hamzat is running through him. I think it's gonna be. I don't know how we're gonna see it. I think Hamzat can get him to the ground, but I also do believe in his striking. So I'm interested to see if he just has the same approach because like Hamzat is usually a touch of the gloves immediately into a shot. So I'm interested to see if he immediately tries to get him down like he does, or if he tries to strike a little bit and not shoot immediately.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go Hamzat just because I have no reason not to say Hamzat. I mean, I love Burns. But I'll probably go Hamzat by. I mean, I have decision on verdict, but I don't know. It could go anyway, especially as a 3-rounder. I mean, Burns can catch him, but from what I've seen, I would imagine Hamzat just gonna run through him too. But
he's also huge. People don't realize how big he is.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty fucking shredded because he has to be to make that weight year round. But I'll go Hamzat.
Sterling and Jan, the rematch that we've all been anticipating.
I mean, everyone's saying Jan. I'm gonna say the same thing, just because Peter Yan. I mean, you know how big of a Corey Sandhagen fan I am. he made Corey look pretty average in those last couple rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, before he got hit with that back fist, he was doing great, but Jan hit him with that perfect back fist. But I don't even know if Peter Jan's human, honestly, so I'll take him. But on verdict, I have Sterling by decision just for the XP factor. But
yeah, when we were talking about how like everyone's just a man, like Peter Jan is that in that conversation.
Dude, he's I don't know how he's so low on the pound for pound list. He's easily in top 5 for me.
Yeah. And then the main event, we have Volkanovski versus the Zombie, which is such a weird fight in the first place. Like, I don't know why this is made.
I don't either, but
Max was cleared like 2 weeks after they announced the fight, and I guess Dana and them decided to stick with the Zombie Volkanovski matchup. But I mean, obviously Volkanovski, that's my pick. But do we think Volkanovski can stop him or just grind him out in a decision?
I'll go stoppage second round.
Yeah, I'm thinking a stoppage too. Zombie's got to try and stay long, I think. And
hold on.
But something, you know, you're good.
Hold on. I don't know if you're editing. I don't know if you're editing Wiz, but yeah, sorry, someone was banging at my door. So yeah, no. So main event, Volk versus Korean Zombie. It's a weird fight to have. I mean, Zombie beat Dan Ige, and I'm a big Dan Ige fan.
We saw what he looked like against Brian Ortega.
Yeah,
I think not that MMA math is fucking real, but
yeah, I think it's a weird fight to come off of into a title shot. But I mean, I have to rewatch the fight with him and Brian to see all the traps that he walked into, but he walked into a lot of traps, especially that spinning back elbow, which was one of the most beautiful setups I've ever seen, which I was amazed because T-City's not, the greatest striker, but
he looked like it though.
Yeah, he definitely made improvements. And
I think we could have seen a rematch between Ortega and Volkanovski before we saw Volkanovski versus Zombie.
Yeah.
Or Yair, I don't know what's up with him. I don't know if he's hurt, but him versus Brian is definitely the fight to make. That's such a sick fight that I'm so hyped for. And I wish Zabit was still in the division too.
Yeah, I mean, I was a Yair doubter when he fought Max. I was like, Max is gonna probably finish him and run through him.
Oh no, I was too. Yeah.
He mad respect. That was a war, and he put a lot of things in front of Max that I don't think Max is super ready for. He made Max shoot a couple times, which we don't see a whole lot. But yeah, I mean, regardless, that's a bit of a tangent, but I'm gonna go Volk. I know I said second round stoppage, but might be a little bit later than that. We'll see. But yeah, I'm definitely saying that Volk finishes him. He, like Hooker said, he hits really hard, and Korean Zombie tends to get hit.
For sure. And then the last MMA thing that I want to bring up to get your opinion on, Darren Till. Who do we think he fights next, and how do we think he looks since being over in Sweden with Hamzat and all them?
He'll probably fight Uriah Hall because 2 reasons. 1, he called him out, and that's a really good fight. But 2, the UFC probably wants to put him on the right track again.
Right.
And, I mean, Uriah Hall's not going to shoot on him. So we're probably not going to see that wrestling in his game for a couple more fights. But that Uriah Hall's a great striker's delight. That's a good fight night main event. And, they'll probably do that one, just get him on the right track. But, I'm a huge Darren Till fan. I think he will be a champion one day.
Yeah.
He has that Michael Bisping mindset where he's like, I'm just not going to stop. I'll take these losses and I'll keep it moving. So he'll probably fight Uriah Hall. Let me see the rankings here real quick.
Did you see Strickland versus Pereira? What the hell? That's out of nowhere. They're trying to push that Alex versus Izzy fight so hard.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is like the smaller gloves are way different. And I mean, you can watch Pereira highlights. Like he does amazing things. Like we've been doing it a lot in my gym, where you throw the 3 and your 9. So you kind of like throw your 3, make them think high, but you bring your 9 right behind it. It's great because you can play with that rhythm, like I was talking about. So you can kind of throw like little pop shots here and there and have your rhythm like dun 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 dun. But then that 3 comes and right behind it is the 9 that goes dun dun.
Right.
So, like people are like, all right, they think they have your rhythm and then you throw that. And I have a amazing clip in my phone of it, but he hit somebody with it and it was just absolutely perfect. So I think Pereira is an amazing striker, but I do think he's going to run into a guy like Marvin Vittori at some point and he's just going to get wrestle fucked.
I think even Sean will be able to out wrestle him. And
I said, I was talking about it yesterday with one of my teammates. I was like, I think Sean probably beats him.
yeah, I'm on that as well.
Just for the simple fact of Sean is super, super unique. He's almost like awkward in his striking style because he's not very,
yeah.
It's harder to spar guys that are weird and don't strike like you're technically supposed to because they don't do the things you expect.
It's like rolling with white belts. It's the same sort of concept. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if a guy's really, really good, you're like, he throws a 1-2 and you're like, 3's probably coming or
right.
5 is probably coming. So, but he's very different in his style. And I mean, it works. He just overwhelms guys and beats the shit out of them. So much respect there. But I would imagine he's going to just get out of the way of the big shots or just eat them because that's just kind of what he does. And just
Bruno Silva was able to eat him. So if he can, I think Sean will.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Bruno Silva's good, but I think Sean's better, obviously, even according to the rankings. So, I'd take Sean Strickland in that, but I hope for dear life that Pereira can get it done. Not that I don't like Sean Strickland, but I think Pereira is really fun to watch versus and I mean, I'll catch flack for this because I have before. I don't love watching Izzy fight, to be honest.
I don't either. I'll say it too.
Super good. I mean, one of the pound for pound best and an amazing striker, but he's just, to me, I'm just not super interested to watch him fight.
Yeah, no, same. If he retired right now, I wouldn't be sad.
No, I'd be like, cool. So Rob's the champ, or what's up?
Yeah,
he's just, I think he suffers from the fact of he's just that good too, like a DJ type situation,
like Amanda Nunes disorder.
Exactly. So it's one of those, but it is what it is. Let me see. I have the rankings pulled up for middleweight. So Till's 8. I mean, yeah, he'll fight number 9, Uriah Hall, right behind him. Jack Hermanson isn't a terrible fight, but it's not a great fight either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he can do that. He can fight Uriah Hall. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect comeback fight for him, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, striker's delight, doesn't have to wrestle very much.
Or he could take him down. He could shoot too.
Yeah. I mean, once Uriah gets tired, he tends to get taken down pretty easy. I mean, most of everybody does, but
yeah,
he once he gets tired, he definitely starts to crack a little bit. So I think Till could do that to him, but I miss seeing Till's fucking 2 down the pipe. That thing
he is a filthy striker.
He closes you down and comes here and then just fucking blasts it through. He's very fun to watch, and
Masvidal said that his jab is harder than any guy he's ever felt cross, and I believe it.
It's so weird. Power is such a weird thing because I talked about a couple weeks ago with somebody, I forget who, it might have been you, but you watch Terrence McKinney fight, and you're like, I mean, I'm sure looking at him, I'm like, yeah, I'll probably hit hard. But I mean, guys are saying they've never been hit that hard, and he doesn't look like he would carry that much power.
He doesn't even look like he's hitting you hard when he's hitting you hard,
Exactly. I met him, and he wasn't insanely big or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, that's crazy that he can hit that fucking hard. I mean, so
I really think Conor nailed it with the sort of precision beats accuracy, or whatever, whatever the quote is. But, me being biased as a little guy, I'm not really a little guy, but I will be fighting at 145, which isn't it's going to be pretty rare for people to just one-stop shop and you're out of there. I think it's definitely precision. I think that's how Sean O'Malley gets as many knockouts as he does, is because 95% of the punches he's landing to your face are directly off your chin. and like that's gonna wear you down. And then he's just gonna catch the one to where it's right outside your eyes and you don't see it, and he's gonna connect right off your chin, and that's it.
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. Like it's definitely the accuracy of those, but it's also like the velocity on them. Like he's got crazy speed and he's pretty powerful just because he transfers a lot of that power from his feet, you know, like
Right.
I mean basic striking concepts, like, you know, the power comes from your feet transferred through your torso, through your hands. But, you know, he's always on balance when he's throwing shots. It's not like he's on one foot throwing these. So a couple things like that, but I mean, you know, power is just a weird thing.
Because you could just be Jamal Hill and someone and hit him in their forehead.
Exactly. Like Jamal does not look like he would hit like that, but he hits like a fucking truck.
Yeah.
It's just so weird versus you look at guys like Marvin Vittori and he's kind of a decision machine. And it's like that guy looks like he would hit the hardest, but he doesn't, you know?
Yeah. There's guys like Izzy who then puts away Paulo Costa, where you look at that and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. So then who does Sean fight next? I got the rankings right here.
Yeah, let me pull them up. I like, you know, if anybody listening to this listens to Sean's podcast or the Red Hawk recap with Tim Welch, they're thinking they're going to be fighting Pedro in July next. And I like that fight for Sean. I think it's a winnable fight and it jumps him perfectly in the rankings. If he wins, he'll most likely switch spots with Pedro and then be 9th. And then that opens up either one then smaller fight, like maybe honestly, I think if he beats Pedro, he could probably fight the winner, or if he beats Pedro, he could probably fight the winner of Cheeto versus Rob Font.
Yeah, no doubt. Which I think would be Rob, but it can go either way because I mean I love Cheeto, and he's a fucking dog.
Yeah.
But I would take Rob, but I would put it as like an even money fight, honestly. Yeah, I mean I think it's tough because
I think if Dominic Cruz wanted to accept the fight, that'd be a perfect fight too. But
Dom's just one of those guys who's like, I refuse to fight backwards anymore.
Well, he's old. I mean,
fair enough. Like, you know, this is kind of like your last run.
Yeah, he's earned it too, you know?
Yeah. So I think Sean, because dude, if Sean fights backwards or forwards, I mean, I guess Marlon's definitely beatable if he's even fighting.
We know that.
He took his gloves off. Asunsau's
the goat at getting knocked out.
Yeah, but I mean, even if he went up one spot, Ricky, like we talked about, Ricky is so good and nobody knows it. I mean, like those who know. But like to your average fan, like you say Ricky Simone and they don't know who that is.
Right.
And it's like, I've met the guy. He's a little gorilla. And I mean, you watch his fights, he just doesn't stop. So I think that's a tough fight for him. Frankie Edgar would be a good fight.
Yeah. If I'm Sean, I'm 100% pushing for the Pedro fight because I think it's the most winnable fight in the top 10 and pushes him the farthest out of the easiest fights that there is. If I was a fan, seeing him, well, I mean, I am a fan, but like from a fan's perspective, him versus Cruz or him versus Cheeto 2 is like the fight I'm like dying to see. Yeah. But I like him versus Pedro too, or even him versus Song. But Song's a tough fight.
It's frustrating to me. Like I like Song, but I'm not like a huge fan. Like when he wins, I'm like good for him, but like it's not like I'm like out there advocating for Song Yadong.
Right.
I think it's frustrating for me because like we talked about, like Song's number 9, but Kyler, who made him look average, isn't even ranked, and Kyler is so fucking good. I mean, he made Rojo look like an amateur. Right. So you know, I mean, for me, Kyler's definitely my dark horse for this division. But yeah, I mean,
I think we're going to be seeing a Kyler Ricky Simone-ish sort of fight, or Kyler versus like Frankie Edgar maybe.
Kyler versus Frankie would be sick, but I'm sure these guys are like, fuck, I don't want to fight Kyler. He's really good, and he doesn't have a lot of name value.
It'll probably be Kyler versus Sunsao, because what else is a Sunsao going to do looking at these rankings?
I thought they were booked at one point, and then something fell out.
They were.
Rojo.
Yeah. I don't know if it's when he fought Rojo, but they definitely were booked at one point. Who does Marab fight next? That's what he is interesting too. he actually knocked out Rafion Stotts on Dana White looking for a fight. That's when he got his contract.
Yeah, Merab's in a tough spot because he's just outside the top 5 to where no one wants to fight him because it's a high-risk fight.
Right.
But he doesn't want to fight backwards because, I mean, everyone behind him, honestly, I think he pretty much beats convincingly.
Yeah.
I mean, he fought Ricky, and Ricky choked him out in the last literal 2 seconds. So, you know, I mean, Ricky's got to win over him, but I don't think Rob, Corey, Jose, TJ, or Peter. I mean, Peter's already booked, but I don't think any of those guys are going to fight him because he's just high risk, low reward kind of guy.
Yeah, the division's weird. It's crazy looking at it.
Yeah, if I was the matchmaker, I'd probably do. I don't fucking know because you got TJ and Aldo that should probably fight for the next belt challenger.
So I think it's a clear winner of Font versus Cheeto fights Corey.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that's pretty concrete because he hasn't fought either of them. And whoever wins that fight will probably either take his spot at 4 if it's Rob, or if it's Cheeto, he'll probably go to 5.
Yeah.
That way TJ and Aldo can fight, but then that still leaves Merab. I don't. Maybe Merab fights loser of the belt. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Probably that. It's hard because he's like not in that super upper echelon, but he's not in the lower division either. So he's a hard one to place. But I mean, I don't know. For me, as the massive Corey Sandhagen fan, it's so frustrating because it's like you lose to Peter Yan by a small margin. Like, he's definitely beatable. And I mean, you've lost to Sterling, and I'm not gonna call it a fluke because Sterling's legit.
No, I want to see that rematch bad.
Yeah, that like if he loses,
or maybe that's the fight. Maybe Merab fights winner of Font versus Cheeto, and then once Aljamain loses to Yan, Corey versus Aljamain.
Yeah, the only thing that would
be
if Sterling wins, they do a rematch immediately. I guarantee it.
Well, I don't think we got to worry about that too much. I mean, I'm not counting him out.
I'm not like super worried about it, but
yeah, I mean, like you're supposed to be the wrestler of the division, and Yan takes you down 7 times. Like, bro, come on.
Yeah, it was. I think it's just because he I mean, obviously he was super tired. He kept giving up his back, and then Yan is just strong as fuck and just picked him up and set him down. But yeah, I mean, that's tough. That's so tough. Yeah. That's a tough division.
So yeah, maybe the winner of that, the winner of Cheeto versus Rob fights Corey maybe, and then Sean fights the loser if he beats Pedro.
Yeah, I like that. That's tough. Dude, bantamweight is just so stacked. I don't care what anyone says. This is the best division in the UFC right now.
Oh, for sure. Nothing comes close.
Like, you know, I mean, featherweight's great, lightweight is great. But
I like how Connor's still 9th in the lightweight division.
Yeah, they'll never take this dude out of the fucking rankings, honestly. As long as he.
And we're back. We've had a lot of technical difficulties.
Yeah, you know,
it's probably our sign of fucking wrap it up soon.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. I mean, do you have any
something I want to just throw out there into the universe? Yeah. Since I started training, I've always felt like I'll be making my UFC debut against an old Max Holloway. Like, that's something I've always thought about. Is like, I think, and also something I'm gonna make a actual practice is having name value before you arrive to the UFC, and not just showing up and then trying to get known in the UFC. I think the key really lies in getting name value before, and we've seen that with Paddy Pimblett and guys like that. And I think, like, I don't know, I've always felt like I'm gonna be a bigger name when I get my shot, and it'll be me versus Max Holloway. That's like, I don't know, that's what I've always thought about.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you saying that a long time ago too. And
yeah,
the thing is like, you know, a lot of these guys are like, yeah, sure, I'll take a late replacement fight, get my fucking ass kicked by a beast, and then I have my foot in the doorway. Right. I don't want to be one of those guys. I want to be one of those guys that told the UFC no when he was 23, 24 and waited a couple more years and came in as a legit fucking guy.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, like, yeah, maybe you'll make less money off the bat, but you
It's a
know,
long-term investment.
Yeah, it sets you up for a real career. Like all these guys that came in, you know, like I mean, fuck, Brandon Moreno came in and got cut and then came back.
Right.
And when he fought Luis Smolka, he was supposed to lose and ended up, like, I think catching him in a guillotine. He subbed him somehow. He was like minus a fuckload, or I mean, plus a fuckload. But yeah, you know, like Izzy did it. He was like, no, I'm not coming yet. No, I'm not coming yet. Patty did it. All the guys that have done that have been super successful.
Yeah.
And I want to be one of those guys too. Just because, like, you know, in my mind, I know I'm gonna make it. So what's the rush?
Right.
You know? I want to be the best I can be before I get there. So, yeah, big
Sweet.
ups.
I think we wrapped it up perfectly. I think we talked about a lot of good stuff. And this was a
no
good
doubt.
return pod because, you know, I post about once every 6 months on the pod. So,
well, dude, we can start doing these ones more. Hopefully,
yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to get a better setup and like a little bit of Wi-Fi and some shit like that. But
let's try and get on like a weekly one because these are super easy because I don't edit these at all. I literally just put the file into YouTube and upload it. So,
I mean, you might have edited this one a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, we could do these every week, every other week, just like, and actually stay consistent.
Right.
Because
all
like,
it is time.
Yeah, it takes fucking no effort. We get on here, talk about shit that we would talk about anyway.
Yeah.
And then, you know, get content out of it. So, but yeah, man, thanks for having me on as usual.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on.
To How We Do by Mr. Dirty Word.
Yes, link will be in the description for sure. Me and Preston will make sure to get another one of these out. If not, soon, definitely after his fight. And then before my fight, like I just want, you know, you guys will be able to see our progression and see, you already can see, you can go back to a year and a half ago to our first couple episodes where we were sitting next to each other in this room and hear how our mindset has progressed as people, as fighters, as martial artists, as whatever it is. And that's sort of why I put these out. So thank you again for coming on. I wish you nothing but the best. And, you know, I'm always on your team. So I'm sure we'll chat. Yeah.
Same, yeah. Now we can do these without sparring on concrete before and after.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. So
yeah, for sure. Peace.
Dope.